You miss us? I miss Susie.
I miss you every minute of every day.
Right? I was actually really sad when you were gone.
You were not.
I felt like...
Because I never leave. That's probably why.
Yeah,
it
was like you're always there, so I know if I need you, you're right there. But then when you weren't, it's kind of like you don't know what you got till it's gone. And I was like, oh,
Joni Mitchell never lies.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh man, after I missed her a little bit.
Welcome, episode 259.
Yep,
we are here for you.
Yes,
delicious dish. You're on the air. How are you, Sarah?
I'm doing real well.
You feeling good about a fall and?
Oh my God, so good.
Yeah, you pumpkin spicing?
No, I'm anti.
Oh,
which I don't know
on
if I've
principle or flavor preference?
Both. I feel like here's a question for you: right. Holiday flavors. Say you get something that's like a Christmas tree scented candle. Mm-hmm. Can you light that candle any time of the year?
No.
Right. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of nice that you reserve certain scents for just the holidays. But I feel like what happens is I go hard in the first week of October. And then I'm burnt out.
Pumpkin spice?
Fall in general.
Yeah.
And then I'm almost burnt out by the end of October. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to pace myself.
Okay.
I'm trying to ease into fall and stretch summer as long as possible.
Yeah.
And
you don't like to drink those beverages.
I don't. The thing I'm into is an apple cider. I'm more of an apple cider and outside taking a walk. But I do feel like the wind, the weather has changed. Don't you feel like Southern California has a fall wind? The Santa Ana wind is a real thing. But it's not just they literally do. It's not just me saying that. But I love when those roll in. I'm like, oh, I love this time.
I've never even had a pumpkin spice anything.
Anything?
I don't. Well, besides pumpkin pie.
Yeah. Oh.
So
well, we should.
What is this drink? What is the big deal about it?
It's not that.
It's really a thing.
Yeah, but I think it's the same thing as why you only light your Christmas candle around Christmas time.
Okay.
It's more.
But it's got to be delicious.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a little sweet on the sweeter side for me.
Is it cinnamon?
No, it's exactly like what the flavors. So, when you make a pumpkin pie, you use pumpkin pie spice, or it'll be a combination of nutmeg, cinnamon, allspice, clove. Yeah. Essentially, it's those flavors. It's pumpkin, and then with a hint of pumpkin underneath. And I feel like it tastes too artificial. I can taste the the same reason I don't like strawberry milkshakes. Ugh, get that crap out of there.
Okay.
It's fake strawberry. I'm
Maybe
not
I'll try one and then report back.
I mean, we should just go and make Adam take pictures of us and just get one. Just to be I'll wear my over-the-knee boots.
Right. It'll find some Uggs lying around.
Right. I got a pair. Don't worry.
Right. Okay. Well, anyway, happy fall.
Yeah. Happy fall, y'all.
What do you guys want to talk about? I saw this thing. I didn't read the article because I really didn't need to. It was essentially college students aren't absentee voting because they don't know how to buy stamps.
No.
I am serious.
No.
Yes.
Are you fucking kidding me? What do we need to...
Well, and how many times do we have to talk about what? Stamps.com. But I won't do it this time.
Right.
But I'm just saying, you can buy them online.
Also at the grocery store.
Also at the post office.
Also a lot of places.
But they just are baffled by it, evidently. Come on.
Is it that sending letters has become a dead... You pay everything online. So, think about a millennial or somebody who's younger than us.
Yeah.
If you've kind of been in this whole internet pay, they probably don't have a checkbook.
Right.
Why would you need one?
Yeah.
If you're doing everything online.
Yeah.
And you'd never really.
I remember one time
Nobody's sending invitations or thank you notes or anything via mail.
So one time I went to the bank to get a roll of quarters for parking meter, and they were out of them. The bank.
Wait, the bank?
Right.
For some reason, I thought you said the post office.
The bank.
The bank was out of a roll of
quarters. And then on
quarters.
the same day, I went to the post office, and they were out of stamps. And I did a Facebook post about it, what is happening.
What? The thing that you're supposed to have. You are the bank, you have money. You are the post office, you have stamps.
Exactly.
It's I went to the grocery store and they were out of food.
Right. And so I did a Facebook post about it, and I remember the comments were sort of like, why are you buying stamps and quarter? Why would you even need those things? And I was like, what?
Oh.
Like, you still mail stuff.
Yeah, all the time.
You still need quarters in some meters.
Oh, yeah.
Because in Pittsburgh, they're not all...
And gumball machines.
There are things you need quarters for.
Yes.
And so I guess we're the old losers.
Yeah, I think, wow.
But please vote.
Oh my gosh. Have you seen Julia Louis-Dreyfus's, like, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Like a PSA, thank you, for voting?
No, just on silent. I haven't.
Oh, it's really cute. You should hear what she says, because she starts off talking about, like something like a person who is ill-equipped, unprepared, unprofessional, somehow becomes president. That's the character I play on Veep. And like the way she does it is real cute. But she talks not about voting, but about if you're somebody who's concerned and cares and is somebody who's like, I want to vote, do more than just vote and volunteer as well. And there are so many ways that you can volunteer. And now I wish I remembered the website so I can tell you guys right now. But
put it in the newsletter.
I will put it in the newsletter. So that's really where, she says that your one vote can turn into 50 votes. And it's like, it's making your vote, it's multiplying the vote, she says.
Yeah.
It's multiplying the vote if you're able to volunteer. I don't even care what side you're on. Just be active and participate, and this is really important. But
do most people vote or not?
There's a divide. Like, I know exactly the friends I have that say I'm just not a voter, and I know the ones who are like, I am there every time, and I'm getting my sticker.
They're super into it.
Yeah.
And is it a certain personality type, or is it just like busy or not, or whatever? I know everybody's busy, but
yeah, it's more. Sometimes I think it's the people who feel like they're like. I think if you have higher levels or have more agency, then you're more likely to do that. If you're somebody who maybe has been in a relationship or a family situation where you feel that you have less agency, then you are not as inclined to vote, because it's like that idea of like, what difference do I make? Whereas somebody who really takes like an active, like takes the reins in their own life, goes like, my vote counts, and I care about this, and I want to do this, even if it's just a drop. It matters,
right? Right.
But if you feel like
our listeners will vote,
yeah.
I ran a contest last year. I guess it was 2016, where if they tagged us in their I voted sticker posts, that they would be entered to win something.
Let's do it again.
Okay, we'll do that again.
Absolutely, 100%. Yep. Okay. I'm into it.
We'll get like
everybody get out there. This is so important, and it's so fun. And sometimes they're at fire stations, and you get to see firefighters. Just saying.
I cry every time
because you get that. You know what? I've cried before too.
It's embarrassing.
I think
and
I
like
cried
the
last
old
time.
man is there, and he'll always be like, "Thanks for voting," and then I'm like,
because you can see what is it that makes you cry. You think
it's meaningful, it's special, it's like the last thing that I hold hope in this country about.
It probably gives you a sense of community and like connection too, like especially those people who are the volunteers, who just care so much, and they're like
they're always super annoying. I will say
we're gonna do that. I'm gonna force
I
you
know
to do
we're
that.
going
That's
to be
us,
those
just
people.
So you know, we're going to be sitting there, and Sue's gonna be like, "Excuse me, do you have your ID?" Or maybe not, because maybe we'll hopefully, if that's not a problem, then
Yeah, it makes me emotional.
Yeah, I understand that.
It's a special thing.
It is so special. It's like tears of joy and accomplishment and like happy tears, right?
Right. Have we talked about how we both are feeling a lot safer lately?
Oh, yeah. Well, your house needed it, because you know what I refer to your house as.
Death trap?
That's right, the murder house.
The murder house. Sarah thinks that my house is like serial killer central.
I don't think it. Right. Science shows.
The facts show.
So
you were talking about that a lot when the Golden State Killer got apprehended. Mm-hmm. And how I moved into a house that Sarah thinks is prime real estate for anybody that wants to burgle me or kidnap my son. So anyway, we got a new system that we set up on our door.
Yeah.
I've talked about this before, how we have these video cameras in our house now. And we have the one that goes right outside by the doorbell. And then, you can talk to people that come to the door and you can see what they're up to.
Yep.
And I feel safer.
I know. It's really cool. And like the quality of the video is like freaking great.
Yeah, they have HD video and they have two-way audio. It's called Ring, and it's two-way audio features. And, you've seen them a lot now in like news stories and stuff because they catch people doing weird crap.
Or like hilarious things that like
True.
your dog does, or like a bear that like wandered into your front yard.
And for our listeners, we have a special offer on a Ring starter kit that's available now with a video doorbell and motion-activated floodlight cam. The starter kit has everything you need to start building a ring of security around your home, or a hilarious video capsule.
Yeah, or to go viral.
Just go to ring.com/braincandy. That's ring.com/braincandy and check them out. They have all different options, but that one I think is really handy because if somebody delivers a package, you can be like, yo, you can leave it there or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just really cool to
We
have.
got the holidays coming up, so deliveries are going to be plenty.
Yep. There was an article in The Atlantic about whether cities are making animals smarter. Like,
okay.
Like making an express evolution situation. Are you into it?
Yep.
Why?
Remember I talked about this a while ago. I was watching, it's when we were talking about the birds in Italy or Rome, and how they were, well, that is Italy, and how they were taking over, and they would like leave the city during the day and then come back to the city at night because it was warmer. In that same show, they did a thing on catfish and how catfish are kind of evolving to hunt in a different way.
Yeah.
And they're hunting at the surface where they used to be bottom feeders. And so the catfish in the rivers in Paris have evolved to catch pigeons that are drinking on the side of the riverbanks.
Right.
So you're already seeing that it's almost, it's like adaptation. You're adapting to your environment, and if your environment is one where you have to, I don't know, like work around
the
things,
new environment.
Yeah. The one thing that I think we should have more of, and the cities where I've seen this, I don't know why animals just instinctively know to use this, but have you seen those animal bridges over freeways where they'll create bridges for animals and like over highways and roads? Oh, it's so cool. It gives me goosebumps thinking about it because this has happened in a bunch of different cities where they create this animal walkway and they recognize that there's a lot of animals getting killed when they try to cross the major highways.
Right.
So they create these like little green belts for them to go over, and they're all covered in green, lush.
No way.
I'm going to show you a picture. I'll put it in
really
the newsletter.
Cool.
It's really cool, and it's happening all over, and there's with great success. And I think newer cities like Singapore has made an effort to incorporate nature into their buildings. So a lot of their buildings have what are these called? Vertical gardens that go along the outside, or a tree top. They'll add trees on the top of buildings, and it improves the air quality, improves the overall health of the people. There are tons of benefits of incorporating plants and animals into the city. So it's just, I think it's inevitable that we're going to have to do more of this.
Right. It's funny that you say that about crossing the road, though, because it was saying how coyotes, which, around here we have a lot of coyotes.
And they are vicious.
Right, they really are. In fact, in my very house, the previous owner's dog got, was a snack.
And they're upping, like...
They're getting bolder.
Yes. When I was younger, it used to be like, look out for your cats. And all my cats died to coyotes because we lived like backed up to a nature preserve. And now, when I lived in the apartment complex in Huntington Beach, there were signs up that said, we lost 2 of our dogs to coyotes. Be careful. This is what they do. One of them tries to, like, they work in packs. These coyotes have learned how to hunt your dog.
Yeah. And like almost every day on the Nextdoor app, for my neighborhood,
Yeah.
it'll say like coyote, lost dog, and I'm like, oh.
And one of them got eaten while they were on the leash.
Who?
Like this dog in the neighborhood I lived in.
God.
The coyote attacked the dog while the dog was on the leash because it was a retractable leash.
Yeah.
And the dog was out at like 20 feet, and the coyote just
Nabbed
jumped at
it.
his neck. And,
Right.
Oh, that makes me so sad.
It said that they have learned where to cross the road.
Oh.
Like coyotes have adapted to safer road crossing techniques, and they figure out whether there's a car coming and how quickly based on the volume they can tell the speed of the car. So it's like freaky. And then they did these box puzzles that, they tested different animals, and the urban animals outperformed
Totally. I can totally see
the
that.
rural ones.
I can totally imagine that.
But then
Wow.
yeah.
That kind of makes you think, okay, I'm going to add something to here. That technology speeds up the evolutionary process for humans.
Yeah, they use the word bends. It bends.
Oh, bends. Okay.
Evolution.
Yeah. So like the rate at which, if you looked at it on a graph, it bends it so that it's going up. Yes. Oh, that is super cool.
Yeah.
And kind of scary.
But like, what do you think
Do it
about
for animals
like?
too.
They didn't go this route, but I just thought, what about people in cities?
Yeah, I would agree.
What, they're more evolved?
More. I wouldn't say it's more evolved, but they are.
They can work in that environment better.
The word I want to use is like adapt. It's like the evolved implies that there is a DNA or genetic difference.
Yeah.
Whereas adaptation is almost like
Behavioral.
yes, behavioral. It could turn into over time, change in DNA and things like that. But I look at adaptation as I feel like if you were to, it would, you know what? You kind of have to, this would be an interesting experiment of what makes the brain a better problem solver. A lot of stimulation or a lot of free time to think and have more creative options with maybe no stimulation from a countryside environment.
I mean, in the article, it was saying this adaptability, it causes plasticity.
Okay.
Behavioral plasticity. And so then it becomes a question of, is that smarter? Maybe not. But it is, like, as you're saying, more flexible to new situations.
You can even think about that as the belief systems of people who are
totally
in a country versus in a city, where even the beliefs become more flexible.
Exposure to more
Yes,
stuff.
Yep. Travel, all that. Dude, we're onto something here.
Right. Why don't they just hire us?
Just ask us. We got it.
Well, you are really good at this. Like when I always text Sarah when I'm listening to our episodes, I'm like, you are so good on this show.
You're so good.
Because I'll bring up an article in which I have all the information. I've read it. But you like guess it all. And it's really impressive because you'll be like, I would call that adaptability. And then I'm like, yep, right here it says that. And then, but it's true that like, it's a cool article because it is about animals and urban, rural, whatever. But then it gets your wheels turning about people. And if you're exposed to new ideas, does that change your behavior? Does it open you up to new whatevs?
And then you have to think, is there like we say with a lot of things, is there a certain point where it becomes like a law of diminishing returns? Because I think of all those apocalyptic movies where it's like a dystopian future, like what's the one I'm in love with? It's like the remake with Ryan Gosling.
I don't know.
Oh my God, it was so good.
Is it about space?
Sort of. It's just more like about the future. Dude, it's killing me. It was like a remake, and it is so good. I loved it. But it shows how too much of that city almost sent us in the other direction.
Because we can't survive.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, like our basic survival stuff then goes away.
We need that nature and technology have to blend together. We really need that. If you have one or the other that exists in separately, then they don't. What the fuck is that movie called?
Everyone's screaming right now.
Oh, yeah. it was a remake. It's like the future, and he's. I have to look it up now.
She's Googling.
I am. I'm going to do it. It's too, because, wait, the 2024. I want to say Braveheart, but that's obviously not it.
Okay.
What is the one? Okay, well, whatever.
It's gone off the rails. Did I already talk about the survival expert article in Esquire? Like, it's not checked off my list, but I feel like we already
Blade Runner.
Okay.
Okay. That was a really good movie. Everybody should see it. Okay. Checked.
Did I already talk about on another episode about the survival expert that was talking about, like, if your map tells you there's a lake? Did we already talk about this?
No, that doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. If I already talked about this, I apologize.
Refresh my memory.
But it's not checked off my list, and I don't know if I did. So there was an Esquire article about, it happened to be about surviving in Trump's political whatever. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was more interesting just applied generally because they were interviewing a survival expert, and he was talking about a phenomenon that happens when you are, let's say you're lost in the forest and you have a map, and I swear we talked about this, and the map says there's a lake.
A little bit sounds familiar, but not. I'm going to need to hear.
Like, great.
No, I'm going to need to hear it.
Okay, so the map says there's a lake, so you go there to where it says, and there's no lake. So instead of like I know we have now, because like people will then throw out their map and be like, this map's not right, there's no lake here, instead of thinking like, maybe
it must have been a very long time. The thing that I'm reminded of is, did I then talk about how the Nile River changed directions and how that used to be in a different place?
What if we have covered up?
We've talked about everything.
Tell me about that. That's better.
Yeah, because it seems like that was one where if you look at a map from, ancient Egypt.
Yes,
they have the
does it
Nile
say?
River in a different place. The Nile River bend like with time.
I have
and
not
with,
heard that information.
With they believe that it actually ran right next to and maybe under the pyramids of Giza.
You mean it actually has moved?
Yeah, like the way the river banks of the Nile have moved. Like it used to be, it flowed right here, and then it's now shifted to 20 yards in whatever direction the other way. So the over time, the way that the things eroded, the way things grew, blah 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 blah, it changed the direction, not the direction, but the route of the Nile River.
Another thing that's changed over time is interest rates.
Sometimes not for the better.
No, for the worse.
Yeah.
They have gone through the roof, and people are looking at their statements like, excuse me.
Yeah, and then they don't even tell you. So what's up with that?
Right. All of a sudden, there's just like this huge charge, and you had no idea. And there is a cool solution. It's called Lightstream, that will help you roll all of your credit card debt into one monthly payment at a lower fixed interest rate. Lightstream offers credit card consolidation loans from 5.89% APR with auto pay. And you go on their website and you can get a loan from $5,000 to $100,000 as soon as the day you apply. I went on there and I filled out the information. It took like 2 seconds. It was super easy. It wasn't invasive or anything. And I had such a good experience. And I thought, okay, this is cool. And then people that I know have used it and saved a lot of money. And our listeners will get a special discount on top of Lightstream's already low rates. The only way to get the discount is to go to lightstream.com/braincandy, lightstream.com/braincandy. Subject to credit approval, rate includes a 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/braincandy for more information.
Cool.
What were you? The Nile.
Yeah. I just, to prove my point, found this really awesome map online that has the location of where the course of the Nile River across different times, and look at how many different courses it took over like 7,000 years.
Though?
So just changes
stuff.
changes in
Earth,
everything. Like there are so many different things. Like I think maybe how people, were using the river, maybe like development and things that they were, I don't know,
whatever was
whatever
cooking.
it is. But you look at it's from 500 years before present to over 5,000 years before. And you're looking at like 10 different courses here. And how they know that is looking at the soil. So they're able to look and see the silt deposits and go, okay, once there was a riverbed here. And how I learned about this was watching like something on the mystery of the pyramids and what they were used for. And they know that they're almost like tomb-like, but empty.
What's with that?
Well, they think that the water flowed under it, and it was a chamber that either created light or emitted a sound. That, you know how you can hear like singing bowls, and they create a tone that is very calming and pleasing? So they think it was a way, it was either a nightlight that somehow running water underneath created an energy that made almost like a glow in some way, that because they're empty.
Weird.
They're only these very precise, geometrically angled
that
like
freaks
tunnels.
me out.
Me too. I get crazy goosebumps thinking about that. And because it's like a mystery. And I grew up thinking that they were tombs. They've never found ever, under all the excavation, all of the laser, they've never ever found a mummy in those pyramids. Mummies are buried in tombs that have that are not like the pyramids are all flat on the side.
At all?
No, they're hollow. They're empty. If I showed you the inside,
no shovels.
No, they're like like tunnels that are at a very precise angle. So there are these caverns, and that's what they say made the sound and made the light. Is it bouncing off of those specific angles? Right,
it's math.
It's math.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at here. It's more, and they said that it was polished, like we see it how it is today, but then it was like polished. It was so shiny and super smooth, and everything was very reflective, and it looked different. We seeing it 5,000 years later, and a little dirty. You know?
It's picked up some dust.
It's aged. It's vintage. So, so like if you take away all that and you look at where was the Nile River at that time, it either flowed right next to or right underneath it, creating, we know water creates energy. So those waterways, don't throw that map out is the point. Hold on to it, because it might be useful or tell you something about the civilization that came before it.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, the article was suggesting, like, trust your resources. Use them. Don't get tricked into believing things, the facades, and use your brain. You have them inside of you, these instincts. Use them, and don't. It's almost like you think, You trick your brain into believing lies.
Yeah.
That's what it was saying. And this is true of like when people get lost all the time or in a survival situation, your mind plays tricks on you.
Yeah.
So you really have to stay focused.
I think it's the fear that takes over.
Probably.
I think when you include fear, that it puts us in... I was talking about this in a previous episode about how... when our brain is triggered with a trauma or something, it shuts down that rational side that allows us to take a look back and look at the big picture and think, what's the context and all that stuff. It's more reactive.
Yeah.
So I think when you're in a survival mode and your life's at stake, you're so reactive that you stop thinking, okay, wait a sec. Let me think about this whole situation. Let me get my bearing. Let me look at the information around me. You're survival mode.
Yeah.
It shuts that down.
I'm going to put it in the newsletter, though, because I read it so long ago that I'm not doing it justice, but it was really an interesting article that I thought was helpful.
That's a class I wanted to take. What do they call that? Map reading? There's a cool name for it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is.
There's a whole class
Yeah,
about
they teach them at, or hold classes at REI for this stuff. Mountaineering and like map reading.
Okay.
And you can do all these geo challenges where they're like teams.
How many ways are there to read a map?
Just one, but I think you need to learn how certain symbols and it teaches you. It's a name for it, like something with a T. I'll have to look that up too. It's like it's a cool name. Like
I know I'm disappointed in
map
you today.
reading. Yeah, I got nothing.
I read a really cool article about it. Well, it was. I thought it was an article, but it ended up being more of a graphic. It analyzed the vocabulary of hip-hop artists
Cool.
compared to Shakespeare.
Cool.
And like which artists...
Tell me.
Okay. Who would you guess is super high? Because I don't know a lot of these people.
Okay. So we're talking a lot of rappers. I'm going to guess Common.
Oh, he was middle.
He was middle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the highest was
I know.
Shocking.
Okay, I know that Lil Wayne used the word Machiavelli or some word that was so big. I was like, is Lil Wayne on there?
It probably is. I don't know.
I was like, dude, he used a word that I'm like, damn, that's a reference.
A lot of the ones that were super high I hadn't heard of. They were more obscure.
Okay.
But the one that was high that I recognized was
Kanye West.
Wu-Tang.
Oh, Wu-Tang Clan. Oh,
and
yeah,
the Redman.
Yeah.
Is he in that?
Yep, Method Man. Yeah.
Them separately
RZA.
as well were up high.
Totally. They're smart.
Yeah.
Super, super smart.
Right.
Yeah.
And who did we meet? Redman or Redman?
Yes,
Redman. Redman.
Yeah.
Like that's
Redman,
his last
like
name.
it's his last name. Yeah.
That's who we met.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seemed smart.
Yeah.
And super nice.
Super nice and so cute, and like took a picture and was so happy.
Eminem and Kanye were in the middle.
Yeah.
They were in the same category as Shakespeare. And it was just fun. It was like an interactive chart. Like
That is super cool.
Yeah, it talked about like it would show the number of different words they used, and you know, it's a real poetic art form.
It is so poetic. It is poetry in every way.
I mean, Eminem was on the higher end of the spectrum, but there were some, the article pointed out, that were so far off the chart that they skewed the chart.
Amazing. That's amazing.
To even include them because they were just like so far in that other direction.
I hear people who are really gifted lyrically and can rap and can write music like that, and it is every way as impactful as poetry. I mean, it's so cool.
Okay, wait, here, you can look at it.
Okay, let me see.
See if you know these people.
Where's Cardi B?
I know. Are there
I'm
women?
kidding.
I don't remember.
Oh,
any.
Wu-Tang. Okay. Oh, yeah, like every member.
Right, I was so impressed with them. Who?
Oh, Common's right there.
Okay.
Most Def. Yeah, I would have guessed that. Anybody from the Fugees. Wyclef, I'm sure he's
Where
on
are
here
they?
too. Oh, you know what's hard is that, I see Ice Cube. Ice Cube's like right in the middle. I need to see their names
at the
because a
bottom
lot
of
of
the
them
list?
I'm like, I don't recognize their...
Oh,
I
it
have
just
to
has their
click.
faces.
Yeah, it has their face. And, I wonder if you click on their picture. Oh, no.
Yeah, if you do
Ready?
it on your...
yeah, here we go. Here
Okay.
we go. Cool. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, this is so fun.
I know, right?
Oh, yep. Outcast. Totally.
Right.
Big Boy. Yep. I mean,
Big
from
Boy, yeah.
Yep. Redman is freaking
We had no idea.
crushing it. Ghostface
right?
Killer. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Who is this one at the very end?
Aesop Rock. Yeah.
Who the hell is that?
He's a white guy who's
I
like,
know, I was annoyed by that.
But he's white guy who's like with it though. Like he's not like
He's like the white common.
yeah, he's like accepted by that rap community. Like he's
Like Eminem.
really but it's not as mainstream as Eminem. It's more subculture, which is almost cooler than that.
Well, he's like off the charts.
Yeah, oh my God. Every single the RZA, everybody's there.
And Shakespeare is on the graphic, so then you can see like what we're dealing with.
Oh, Tech Nine! Wow, Tech Nine Exhibit.
Sarah.
Tech Nine's song, the one that I even got into, is so funny because it's about Malibu rum and it's a song about alcohol. So to see him like outperforming Shakespeare is like hilarious to me. I want to see who the really shitty ones are. Oh,
wait, let's make a teaser because while you think about who might that be, we need to talk about how much we love these knives that we got.
they're so good. Here's the deal, Suze.
Yeah. They're Meeson knives.
Yes, Meeson knife. And you were the one who told me after reading the Anthony Bourdain book that you really only need
you need a chef's knife and like a paring knife.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we got them.
I
was scared to use them for the first week because they were so sharp.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna cut my finger off. So I picked up some knife skills, and now I am chopping like a mad woman.
Well, so yeah, I read the Anthony Bourdain book, Kitchen Confidential, and he talks about it. Like, why do we have these like gigantic butcher's box of knives that we don't even use? You tend to just grab the same one every time.
Totally true.
So Meeson created this gorgeous high-end knife that's an essential for your kitchen because it is no joke the best knife I've ever had.
I have a really nice knife set.
Yeah.
Like, Landon really cares about the cooking and the knives. And I held the two in my hands. The difference in just weight is undeniable. It's insane.
And it helped that the way they designed it helps you have control. Oh. And so these knife sets are such a waste of space and they waste your money. And this can replace 99% of what all the knives in your stand set do. And here's something that I didn't know, which is super cool. First of all, the New York Times calls Meeson the holy grail of knives. Mm-hmm. Second of all, they have free sharpening for life.
What? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Dude.
You can send your knife back.
They'll
great. Sharpen it and send it back, which is so cool. We've tried the Meeson knife. It's amazing. We don't know how we ever cooked without it. Cooking's faster. It's more fun. And now you also can join in the fun of the kitchen. Our listeners get 20% off their order simply by going to meeson.co/braincandy. That's MISEN.co/braincandy and use our code braincandy for 20% off your order. Meeson.co/braincandy, and don't forget to use our code braincandy. I'll put that on our sponsor page of the website as well, so you can refer to that. It's amazing. Try it and let us know what you think. All right.
Okay, everybody out there, you know what? When I say, you'll be like, oh, I understand why. When you become famous more for your barking than for your rapping, it's usually an indication that...
Who is that?
DMX.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, he's not... No. He's not my cup of tea. Stop it right now.
Oh, I thought Drake would do better. Drake is like...
Well, they were... In the article, they were saying, like, this doesn't make them better or worse.
Right, it's just the amount of words, the different words that they used.
And you can be very smart and erudite without using tons of different words.
And I would... If you looked at, like, poetry and what they were saying and the content... Like, Tupac only has 3,970 unique words, whereas Shakespeare has 5,170. So we're looking at 2,000 or, 1,000, whatever that spread is, different amount of unique words. But if you look at the lyrics and you read them, it is so moving and it is deep. So deep.
Yeah.
And it is so...
this is just one metric.
Yeah, yes, correct. That's a good thing to say. Man, that is really cool. Oh, Kendrick Lamar, I would put him on there too. Yeah, man, that's cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
I love that.
Yeah,
that is so fun.
I was Mashable.
so happy when Kendrick Lamar won the Pulitzer Prize or no?
Yeah,
was it Pulitzer Prize?
Yeah.
I mean, it just opens the door for that to be accepted as a type of
poetry writing.
Art. And you think about what poetry started as, and especially, like Dante Alighieri, for example, who at the time was poo-pooed because he was writing in the language of the people, which is essentially what all these rappers are doing right now.
Yeah.
You're writing in the common vernacular, but not with any of the credit that, some scholar would get, even though you're doing it way better.
Mm-hmm.
I really am so happy that Kendrick Lamar got the recognition that he well deserved for that.
Yeah.
However, I'm not happy that I heard at the Emmys it was just another,
the Emmys?
Yeah, didn't we recently have the Emmys?
Yeah.
Like just the other
what happened?
week? That there was people say that it was a facade of diversity. Like, there was this big, look at how diverse we are, but then when you look at the winners, there were almost no people of color, or all the people who won were entire white casts with white,
We got a long way to go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
It's good that they are acknowledging the need for it, but then I think it takes a long time.
It does, but I don't want to go ahead and give all, the... whatever the group is, some big pat on the back, because
right,
you don't get to
try harder.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Right.
Stole the words right out of my mouth.
Okay. Oh, I just briefly want to say I read this thing about how female anatomy is such a mystery to people, including females.
Yeah, right. Me, I'm like, oh, okay. Didn't know that did that.
There, in the Atlantic, they did an article about how the clitoris is not drawn correctly, even in medical textbooks.
No.
Yes.
Have you ever seen those old? There'll be drawings of animals, like when people first went out and explored those native lands or whatever, different lands.
Yeah.
And they'll come back with a drawing of what a monkey looked like, and it'll look like a monkey-human hybrid because they don't have any concept.
They're still using their own...
Yes.
Right.
That is what is happening here. And we've not picked up on it.
It's so bad.
Holy crap.
So
I need some information.
You know how, like, in reality, it's like a...
I'm familiar.
The shape of a wishbone, where you have the bean.
Yes.
But then...
I was going to use the word bean, so I'm so glad that you...
But then inside, it, like, comes down like a wishbone. And they weren't, like, doing that. They weren't drawing that in medical textbooks. So doctors were not learning it correctly. And for years and years and years, even when there were women in medical school... The women were not allowed in the same classes as men.
No.
Yes.
No.
Because it was like immodest to talk
Christ's
about
sake.
body parts.
We need to. Way more. We need to make it way more comfortable to talk about penises and vaginas.
They're fine talking about penises.
Oh, gross.
They got that down.
They do. You are right.
It's our bodies that are like
I don't think
forbidden.
a lot of women could even draw what
Absolutely
a vagina looks
not.
like. And then the understanding that nerve that the clitoris is attached to, which is where all that pleasure, sensation, everything derives from, extends down through the vagina inside, which is why you can have internal stimulation and still achieve an orgasm, but it's more difficult because you're hitting the end of the nerve. Yeah. There's a little buffer, but it's all the same. I mean, it's all part of like the same thing.
Right.
And that is definitely not information that men have based on my experience with them.
That's the thing.
My vagina.
Is like, there's so many problems. Yeah. I don't even know what to fight for first. Do I want equal pay? Do I want them to understand my body correctly? Right. Whatever it is. I just feel like this.
My God. You are right.
There's
Here's
so
the
many
deal.
categories.
This often happens as a therapist when you're working with a client and they have a lot of insight and they go, I see all these changes that I need to make in my life, but this is too much. Like, I know everything I have to do, but I can't even I know, and I can say this because I also know this at myself, where it's like, oh my God, I have to remember to eat breakfast and lunch, and now I'm going to do all this. Like, it seems so overwhelming. Please, gentlemen, people,
fellas,
let's start one step at a time. Let's break things down into smaller pieces.
Yeah. What do you think step one here, though?
I think step one is gotta be communication.
When I interviewed the brilliant Nile, who everyone really should read her book, Just the Funny Parts, not just because it's great and entertaining about the television industry, but also about gender and workplace and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I asked her, what can we do to teach our kids, our sons, to be better? And she goes, well, you could start by not skipping a generation. We need to teach our husbands and our brothers and the people that are in our lives.
That's what I mean by communication.
That's right.
That's it. You have to talk.
Yeah.
You have to say,
here's where you're missing the mark.
And this is how I have to do this so much. It's like with myself, with my family, with every client. Little communication constant. Exchange. I feel blank because blank, or like, I feel blank when you blank because blank.
Right.
I feel hurt when you say those things because it makes me feel insecure.
Yeah.
We have to learn that formula. I feel blank when you blank because blank. And if you can learn how to communicate like that and then reflect that in another person, that is the start to everything. That is step one.
As long as both people are just like fair and honest and open, it can be a real learning thing. But that's hard to find
because
in
it triggers
people.
defenses
Yeah.
so fast.
But like,
Especially with sex stuff.
I
And the
saw-
anatomy of the clitoris.
oh my God.
As soon as you start to say something, the man goes, whoa. Whatever they say. All of a sudden, they become like...
It's okay.
Yeah. I'm like,
we don't even
listen.
understand it.
No.
It doesn't make sense to us.
Right. And it changes. And God forbid I have a child, and then guess what? You're going to get a new lecture because it's going to change.
Did you see the post Amy Schumer did last week about like men who joke like,
Yes.
I don't know how to act around women anymore.
I sure did.
And she was
I
like,
wanted to retweet. I wanted to repost that.
don't make a joke, just ask.
Yeah.
Ask me.
Yeah.
And we'll answer what's okay and what's not. It's like they feel this thing of like, well, I just don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah.
So
it's the same thing. I was watching an episode of Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, and one of her correspondents is a woman of color, and she was talking about how she went to some Republican convention or something, and she noticed that white people get really nervous around her, and they don't even know how to refer to her.
Totally.
Do you refer to her as black, African American? She was like, guess what? Ask me.
Yeah.
Say, which do you prefer? And then they just answer,
Well,
and
and
they
then
tell
you
you
did
the
it.
exact... And I did it, and it totally works. And you just say, well, which do you prefer? Do you prefer, like... You know, when in conversation, do you prefer black or do you prefer African American? They'll go, oh, well, I'm okay with either, but I usually refer to myself as black. And you go, okay, from now on, that's how I'll talk to you. And that's it. That's the end of the conversation. And then that person goes, thank you for seeing me, recognizing me, not getting all weird.
yeah.
And I spent a lot of time getting weird, like myself, where I was like, I don't know. I feel like I want to be careful, but I don't know. Just ask.
Yeah.
Just ask the female.
I feel
just
like
ask
that's
everybody.
still around people who aren't able-bodied in the traditional
Absolutely.
sense. I'm always like, I'm totally going to do the wrong thing.
Yeah, you get nervous, and then that anxiety
Yeah.
turns into more
Right.
awkwardness.
But if we could teach ourselves like to just be more like, hey, am I doing this wrong?
Yeah.
Because you can just let me know because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I think people respond to that generally.
Yeah. What do you prefer? Do you like it to take care of it? Do you like it when you do it yourself?
Yeah.
Or would you prefer a little help in this? And they'll go, oh, well, I'm good myself, but if I need help, I'll ask you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like that.
Right.
That's it.
And we've learned all this because you idiots don't know what a clitoris looks like. So, I mean, I found it really shocking, but not, you know, where it's like, come on.
Nobody
but then
teaches that. Where do you go to learn that?
There was
you
that,
literally have to seek the information yourself. Nobody is going to...
Yeah. And like, just if like that episode of Orange is the New Black when they like used mirrors and like were looking it up into their, they're like, oh, I never saw that. I never knew it was
I
like
remember
that.
the day I did that for the first time.
It is fascinating journey.
Yeah. I even still own the mirror that I used.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's like this nice vintage like hand mirror with like a
Good to
metal
know.
back, and like I wasn't sticking it up there. I was just hovering over it. It's since been cleaned, probably.
You know what else you should clean is your face.
Absolutely.
Because if you're like me and you have problem skin, there's a solution, and it's called BioClarity. And even if you don't have problem skin, you still need to wash
Still
your
need to keep
friggin'
your
face.
clean.
And BioClarity is an awesome 3-step skincare routine that is soothing but effective. And come on now, if you can get the clear skin routine for oily or breakout prone skin. You can get the essentials routine if you have normal skin. And here's what I wanted to say. I kept thinking about this because I've been introduced to these other competitors that are freaking expensive.
Yeah.
This is
Oh
affordable.
my God. No joke.
It is as effective, if not more, and a fraction of the cost.
I mean, $42 for a face wash. Are you out of your GD mind?
Right?
No way. I can get 4 months of that on my
And when you put the whole
BioClarity.
system together, it's hundreds of dollars a
Hundreds.
month.
This is so easy, and it takes care of everything for me.
And they have the masks now, the clarifying and the hydrating masks. And now you can treat your whole body because they have beauty beauty boost and beauty supplement and Sudsea, which is a body wash. Yeah, I knew you were going to be into it.
Oh,
Because Sarah's got buns issues.
I do.
And she wants to clean it right up.
Because I use the I almost feel like
She's
I need
been using
something else. I've been
BioClarity
using
on her
BioClarity
buns.
on my legs.
Maybe they heard what you said and were like, hey,
I was
we
like,
should.
yo, that works on my butt bumps. I'm going to need a full-size thing of this for my
Well, now you can get it. Get started on healthier habits with your skincare. Just go to bioclarity.com. Our listeners will get 15% off their entire first purchase, plus shipping is free when you buy a routine. And it comes with 100% risk-free money-back guarantee, but you need to enter our code BRAINCANDY. That's bioclarity.com and enter code BRAINCANDY. We do have a guest named Marley Grace, and she wrote a really adorable little book called
how cute that is.
How to Not Always Be Working, a toolkit for creativity and radical self-care.
Oh, I love that.
Well,
we all need that. Give me that book.
Exactly right. That's what she says. When I speak to her, she's like, this book happened because we need this book.
We really do. I might be out of a job if people just get this.
It's a real problem that we have as a society, because a lot of us work from home or have jobs that are kind of like you do some of it at home. You're on social media. You get emails throughout the night, even when you're at home in the weekends.
Yeah.
And so nobody ever really stops working. And so
we're almost doing things to create more work for ourselves.
Totally.
And like simplifying the other things that used to be self-care.
Yeah.
In an attempt to do more work.
Yeah.
And that's backwards.
It's so backwards.
And
it will catch up with you.
Yeah, it does.
In fact, I'm feeling that now as I deal with this migraine, is that your body will tell you eventually.
Oh, yes, it does. Body keeps score.
Yes. And this Marley Grace's little book here, it's great to keep like on your nightstand. Just have it. And there's little exercises in it for you to do. She challenges you to try a few things that she recommends, having a bedtime ritual.
Oh, so important.
Things like that are so simple, like candles or, a time of silence and putting your phone in a box. And
I love that.
Yeah. Having shutdown time is important.
So important.
So you can get her advice in this interview, but also you should check out her book, How to Not Always Be Working. Welcome, Marley Grace. First of all, congratulations on your book. How are you feeling?
Thank you. I'm feeling good, and I'm feeling ready for it to exist in the world.
That's exciting. Have you gotten a lot of feedback yet, or is it still too early?
It's still a little early, but I think the title kind of speaks for itself. And I think the overall feedback is I need that. And so I feel like that's a good omen that people need it, just like I need it.
It is, but it's a bummer that we do need it, because we freaking do need it.
Yes.
We live in this world where, well, at least in the U.S., where it seems like working constantly is, deemed virtuous in some way. And so it seems like your goal is to push back against that and be like, you know what, maybe we should take care of ourselves. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think it's accurate. And I think it's also that we think everyone else, like I think sometimes people look at me and they're like, wow, you do so much, and like my inner critic is like, there's no such thing as actually doing enough. So I think the goal is also to paint this picture of like, how do we stop comparing ourselves to others, to ourselves and other seasons of our lives, et cetera, and that there's like the only way to really understand what your own balance with work is like a self actualization, self criticism, but in the good way. So,
well, and you kind of do this tremendous job of describing how people can get some sort of balance, because we can't, if we want to be successful in a traditional sense, you kind of have to be involved technologically. And so you do such a great job of describing the balance. Do you have like a couple tips for people so they know what direction you take it from?
Yeah, I mean, I think I joke somewhere in the book that the book could really be a one-page pamphlet that just says, turn your phone off, go outside, hang out with your friends, and don't tell anyone you did it. Like I love, I built a career using my phone, using social media and having a reach that way. And I'm really grateful for it, but it's also constantly changing. It's more addictive than ever before. Yeah. There's certain changes that really affect small business owners. So I think just like how do we pay attention to our real lives and our aliveness and being with real people, even if you have a digital or online business, I think is important. And yeah, I mean, my real tip is like the off button, you know, like when's the last time you didn't just go on airplane mode, but really turned your phone off. And then I really love the app moment, which tells me how long I'm on my phone and what apps I'm using the most. And it's really scary sometimes. But you
Is
can
it surprising
sort of like,
when you see the results?
sometimes I'm usually like, yeah, that sounds about right. But I've definitely hit some like 6-hour days where I'm like, oh, okay, that's okay. Like no podcast listening, just straight up 6 hours. And you know, I think my other tip is just like when navigating my book or like any self-help book or facing your work is to just turn judgment into noticing and just be like, you know, like if I'm like, I hate myself for whatever, you know, for not having balance or working too much or being on my phone, it's like that doesn't really help me change. And so I think just being like, okay, I'm noticing X, Y, and Z. How can I be different now?
Yeah, here's some information and then do with it what you need to do.
Yeah.
And like, I like how you call it phone healing. I think that's such a good way to put it because we do need to heal, man.
Yes, we do.
Whenever you were describing like some techniques, I really was impressed with the idea about creating almost like it's like a box for your phone. And I like how you encouraged people to, you know, jazz it up and make it kind of a special place. Where did that come from, that idea?
That idea is borrowed from Caroline Paquita, who is a total weirdo, amazing writer and illustrator who has her own risograph zine and press in New York City. And she's also like someone who talks really publicly about addiction, and we have actually never met. So she, again, is like someone who I know through technology. I used to sell her zines in my shop in Michigan, and we just really connected. And she just kind of offered that to me one day. It's like, get a box and put your phone in the box. And I love the dressing it up because, again, I think what I'm really trying to do is like, and I read Catherine Price's book, How to Break Up with Your Phone. And I loved that book, and I love Caroline's idea because it's like, it's not about, you know, I got a flip phone. I've tried a lot of different things, you know, I've deactivated all my accounts before. And it's like, I really am hopeful that there's a way to like, you know, I love using my phone to like FaceTime friends who are far away or be in touch with my parents who live far away. I love sharing my joy and my sorrow like to thousands of people on the internet. I'm very lucky, but it also causes me a lot of harm and a lot of brain fog. And so if there's a way to put it in the box and be like, but it's a beautiful place, phone, that is so magical, like that is really filled with power, but can also be really destructive. So, yeah.
Yes. Like I kind of get annoyed whenever people demonize the phone.
Sure.
Because I, like you, have so many things that I do on my phone that have enhanced my life and empowered me and allowed me to like work around the patriarchy and stuff like that. So I feel really grateful about those things. But then what you're suggesting is, you can be grateful, but also aware. And just you named 3 things. Like you said, get a watch, get an alarm clock, and get a disposable camera. And I was like, that is such great advice because we don't have them anymore. And we use our phone for those things. Early on in the book, you mentioned feminism within capitalism. And I was wondering if you could expand for our listeners about what that has to do with the concepts in your book.
Sure. Wow, that's a good one. You know, let's see. I'm a queer woman. I'm a punk. I'm, you know, covered in tattoos. I dress like a weirdo, and I am a freak. I live in a tiny cabin in the woods. Like but I've been my own boss, and I'm a business owner and have been for 6 years, and exist in, you know, a world that is, you know, doesn't see people like me. And I still carry a lot of privilege as, you know, as a white person, as an able-bodied person, as a cisgendered person. And in the book, I try to, you know, address that, you know, it is certainly written from my experience. My experience is going to be very different than other people who have more privilege than me, who have less privilege and less access than I do to certain things. But I have learned, and I've really learned, again, like through the internet, by seeing other mostly women or non-binary business owners who run a business in a feminist way, who give their money to organizations that make huge impacts, who, you know, have sliding scale for their services, who are committed to their work, but are also, you know, giving back to different communities. And so I think that that's sort of my hope for the book, is that we can exist in capitalism and still enjoy our lives. And especially for those of us who do have a bigger platform or a bigger voice, that we can use that to uplift other voices who maybe need, you know, more of a platform than we do. And so, and yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, is I suggest certain things like get a watch, get an alarm clock. And I'm also like, go get them at a garage sale. You know, it's tricky. I'm always riding this wave between, you know, buy this thing and like, don't buy this thing, actually go make it. And so I think I'll always be in that middle space, and I'm always trying to learn from others and from myself what that looks like.
But that's what I felt so encouraged by, because you talk openly about that gray area in a variety of contexts, and then you just say, like, I don't know, I don't have all the answers, and here's what it looks like for me. And I prefer that to an author who's like, here's the solution, it fits everybody. So I like that. Whenever you think about the gray area, like you mentioned, reading a book at bedtime to wind down, but the book's about maybe something, you know, with regards to your work and how that makes sense for you. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, you know, I included a few different contributors in the book, and it's funny, the word noticing comes up, but Angel Nafis, who's a poet, you know, talks about her, you know, being a poet and having that be your job, and your art practice is literally just noticing. So if you're awake, she's working, you know, she is in the practice of noticing, because that's how she finds information that she turns into a poem, which I feel the same as a dancer and as a quilter. It's like, that's sort of the funny part of the book. It's like, if you're an artist or a person who's integrating your life experience into your work, you are always working. But, and again, it's like, I don't want to demonize the phone, and I don't want to demonize work. I love my work, but I think, that's where the gray area, it is important to me to have really found things that are totally separate from my work. And I'm like laughing in my head right now, because I'm like, what could I list right now? And I'm like, and you know, like, I feel like going to the movies is sort of that for me. Again, like, I then usually tell people what movie I go to, but maybe not all the time. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's where I'm like, and that is where it's really important to me to say in the book and here that it's like, I am always going to be figuring this out. I don't have any agenda to write a self-help book that has me being like, and now for the answer. Like, that's not going to work. I like reading books like that, but that is not what I have presented.
Yeah, so. I like the optimism, but I mean, for me, it's always like, what? That can't be the answer for everyone. But I mean, I feel the same way. Like, I write stand-up comedy, and so it's the same as poetry. You're always trying to notice things about human behavior and blah, blah, blah. So if you're awake, and especially if you're dealing with other human beings, you always feel like you're working. What do you mean when you say, and I know it's kind of self-explanatory, but for our listeners, why do you say there's no such thing as messing up?
I say that because, you know, I think that I can track over the last maybe 15 years, like where the quote unquote messing up is. And I can pretty clearly be like, yeah, I'm really glad that happened, because it, I mean, part of my personal story is I've been sober for the past 7 years, and I was married and got divorced, and I've had, just sort of some personal ups and downs that someone could be like, ooh, you kind of messed up that one, or, little snags in my business, and that's also sort of from like a quilting, sewing perspective is a lot of times when I quote mess up, it just becomes part of the final product.
Yeah.
And so, I have this poem that I wrote once about being a tornado person, where I feel like I'm a tornado person. Like I just kind of, I'm fast moving, and I can like leave destruction sometimes. And I think that there's some like acceptance in that, and like trying to find the mix between being humble and owning that that's just part of who I am. So I think that's part of there's no messing up. Like if I can turn the mess up into a sweet moment to connect with a person and be like, ooh, I don't think that maybe went the way we thought it would. There's a lot more room for sort of the mystery, the acceptance of the mystery to happen. So,
yeah. I mean, I don't know if this is true for you, but like when I'm talking to other people, I'm very forgiving and sympathetic towards them, but my inner voice is so mean to me. And yes. I was so grateful that in your book you sort of acknowledged how we can do that to ourselves and the ways that we can maybe provide a little self-love. And why do you think that's so dang hard?
In the book, I publicly admit that I've named my inner voice Roger at one point.
I forgot
and
about that.
Roger is an asshole. He's really, really rude. But it's nice.
Think his deal is?
He's someone, sort of like a spiritual mentor of mine, did point out to me before that Roger's trying to protect me, but he just doesn't quite go at it the right way. Like I can sort of take some of the information he's saying and be like, okay, like I get it, but I'm gonna go a different route here. But yeah, I think it's a practice, and I think writing really helps me, and like an exercise of just writing out affirmations and it kind of goes back to those, like, how can I look at the messy parts of myself that my inner critic is telling me are terrible, and just sort of acknowledge them and be like, okay, like that is kind of part of me, and like almost laugh at it. But yeah, my inner voice can be very loud and very mean. And I think it, if I kind of just greet it with a curiosity, it can be helpful to talk back to it in a nice way.
Well, I'm going to give it a whirl, all your advice, and see if it helps.
Great.
What is it that, when you think about the book, that you think people should ask, but maybe haven't asked you yet, or you want them to ask you?
I mean, I think, it was interesting to just hear you say, I'm going to take your advice and see if it works. Like, I think that's what I'm, so the book started as a little self-published zine 3 years ago. So this concept has existed in the world for 3 years. It's not a new concept that I've been talking about, but I think I want people, like I'm, and I finished writing the book a year ago, basically, in the timeline of publishing. So it's like I'm already dealing with new problems or new things I'm trying to solve. So I guess the questions are like, what did work from the book? Like what isn't working, what it can change. And I think that's where I hope, again, that the book is not like a complete answer. It's just sort of, if anything, I hope a conversation starter for people and for me to ask myself, like, what needs to shift, and knowing that you can always sort of start over.
Well, I do think it will, and I'm excited for our listeners to read it. I know my husband, he already stole my copy from me, and he doesn't read anything at all. So
Wow.
I know that this is probably what you said, where everyone's like, yeah, we need this real bad.
Cool.
I ask everybody one last thing, which is, what do you keep in the trunk of your car if you have a car?
In the trunk of my car is coolant because my Subaru Forester leaks coolant, and a coat because I live in Northern California where the weather's always changing.
That's funny. You're ready for the air conditioning, or if you are get too cold. That's so funny. Do you feel like your body temperature varies greatly?
I stay pretty consistent. I mean, I live in a place that's sort of, I live on the coast, and it's sort of always feels like autumn here.
Yeah.
And I also moved to a place that my body wanted to be in temperature wise. I left Michigan after 28 years because I didn't want to see snow anymore, and I've lived here for the last 2. So my body has acclimated well to the fog and the
You are
and the
where
weather
you
here.
belong now. Okay.
Yes.
I love that. You have a nice trunk.
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, you're off the hook, and I really appreciate both your book and you talking to me, and I can't wait to hear what other people think of it.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me on your show.
Of course. And I'll let you know when the interview's up. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Sounds great.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye, Marley.
Bye.